So far in my World of Warcraft journey, I have leveled 3 entire characters. My first was my warrior Fartinshank, who was all about learning the game and exploring the world for the first time. My second was my mage, who I wanted to be the complete opposite of my warrior, using the best XP grinding methods and learning how to do the best farms in the entire game. And most recently was my new main druid, which was honestly the most fun I've had yet. So many different playstyles and having a very unique PvP style. But my quest to play every single class in World of Warcraft doesn't end here, and it is time to select my next class. And well, after not so careful consideration, I have decided to play a rogue. And just to spice things up even more, we will not be playing Alliance, but it will be my very first time experiencing the horde side of things, and I went with an undead. So I gave my character a nice big mohawk and claimed my name. Before we get started, I would like to say that we are going for 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so any help is appreciated. It costs you nothing and it means the world to me. Last time was my first time playing as the Horde, and our adventure began as a puny level 1 inside of Trisfall Glades. And I had a lot of fun questing in zones that I hadn't explored before, like Silverpine Forest or the Barrens. And I even got to take on my first ever Horde dungeon, which was of course Ragefire Chasm. As of today, I don't really have any goals. I just want to continue exploring what the Horde has to offer. But I will set the goal to simply get to level 25. Should be easy enough. To start the day off, I actually decided to go straight back into Ragefire Chasm in order to complete the dungeon quest that I didn't do the last time. So I decided to buy myself a Chrono Boon Displacer so that I could save my buffs for when I was questing, and then headed straight for the dungeon entrance to get started. Now, I know I said it last time, but I genuinely quite enjoy Ragefire Chasm. I mean, if we're comparing it to these Stormwind Stockades, it's just miles better. And unlike the Stockade, we actually do get some bosses, and the first one is Taragaman the Hungerer, and he dropped some crappy bracers. Now, last time I made the mistake in saying that the last boss was this demon called Basilan, but after looking at a breakdown of the dungeon, I don't think he actually is a boss, and the last boss is called Jergosh the Invoker, which I can't seem to find for some reason. But after we kill Basilan, we drop down and start making our way to the exit. A nice, quick and simple dungeon run, getting us some XP and quest completion. You can't really complain about that now, can you? Afterwards, I hopped on a bird and began making my way out of Orgrimmar and into the Barrens, because it was time to start grinding out some quests. Once we had landed, I had picked up all of the quests that I had previously abandoned in order to make room in my quest log, and we ended up with a pretty solid amount to keep us busy. I first headed up north to where these centaurs are and unbooned my buffs. And you know, I still can't believe the Horde get access to 2 world buffs right from level 1. I mean, it's just so overpowered. And I'm kinda glad I chose to unboon my buffs here, because the drop chance on our quest item is so low, and it took a while to get all 15. And that's actually where I decided to log off. But when I came back the next day, I got stuck into killing zebra runners for hooves, which wasn't too difficult. I then headed to the south of the zone where all of these pigs are hanging out so that I could collect 60 tusks. And yeah, collecting 60 of them took a while to get. I then decided that I would take a trip to Ratchet for the first time in order to pick up the flight point and some more quests. And first up on that list was to venture into this pirate area and slay an NPC by the name of Baron Longshore, which was simple enough. I then went off to this raptor den to kill raptors and collect their horns, and I did this quest where we have to locate the dead wife of some orc. I then went back over to the little oasis area so that I could kill the turtles for their shells, and then I could return to Ratchet to turn in the quests, which got us all the way to level 19. Now I went off again to do some more questing around Ratchet, and I was doing a simple quest of killing pirates, and that's when I remembered Wailing Caverns. I had totally forgotten that this dungeon even existed, and well, I hated it in retail, so let's see if I hate it here as well. I got myself into a group of people who had already started clearing the trash. Now, as for loot, there isn't too many things that we are after, but there is a couple pieces of gear that would be absolutely huge for us. Firstly, the leggings of the Fang would be totally insane for us to get, and then the glowing lizard scale cloak offering a modest 6 agility. And then there is of course a random assortment of green BOEs to get as well. We pre-cleared for the escort quest, then began making our way around the first section of the dungeon until we get to the first boss, Lord Cobran. And this is the boss that can drop the leggings of the Fang, but after about a minute of fighting, sadly, he did not drop it, but instead dropped the mail belt. We then drop down and take on the next boss, Crash. I mean, he's not really a boss, he's just a big neutral turtle. We then started clearing our way through the next section of the dungeon until we started going down a hallway that I didn't recognize. And it was a very well crafted area, really giving off the vibe of an overgrown cave. And inside of here, we are able to find the boss, Lord Pythus, and he's just like every other boss in this dungeon, he is a night elf druid guy, and he dropped his one-handed mace. Pretty solid. We once again clear our way through the dungeon until we get to the boss, Scum, who can drop the cloak that we are after, but of course, it did not drop. And the next boss is Lord Serpentis, who once again is just a night elf druid, and we got him down no problem. And luckily, the next boss is right next to him. And honestly, I couldn't see why I disliked this dungeon before. I mean, this place looks amazing, decent loot, lots of XP. That's why. Yeah, this is by far one of the worst things in any dungeon. I'm not sure if this is just part of the dungeon or if this is just another escort quest, but we have to follow around this Tauren NPC who walks slower than my granddad who has had 2 hip replacements, but on the bright side, it also got us to level 20. But after 15 minutes of walking, we finally made it to the end, and we have to take out a few waves of mobs till eventually the final boss of the dungeon appears, Mutinous the Devourer. But you know, as horrible as the ending is, this dungeon really isn't as bad as I remember it being, and that's probably because when I was a retail player, I had literally zero patience for anything. Now, as horrible as that last part of the dungeon is, I just couldn't resist going back in because I really wanted another go at getting my legs because they're just that good. And the second one really was exactly the same as the first, and we get to the first boss and we DPS him down, and sadly, no legs, which to be honest was a little bit disappointing because it could have been my first massive upgrade. However, we then go and take down Crash, and I wasn't expecting it, but a blue BOE dropped, and it was something that I could use, so I needed on it. And so did the Warlock. Turns out this thing is apparently worth like 30 gold, but luckily I won it and I equipped it. And with my new mighty sword in hand, we go ahead and take on Scum once again, and he did happen to drop his cloak, which I won. So although we didn't get our legs, getting 2 different blue items does kind of make up for it. Then again, this part makes me question whether or not it was all worth it. Now, after 2 runs of Wailing Caverns, I wasn't really filling up to a third, so I decided to return to some questing. However, I can't lie, the Barrens really is starting to get old, so just for a change of scenery, I decided to head into Stone Talon Mountains for a bit. Now, almost immediately after entering the zone, it's starting to sink in that the Horde's entire aesthetic is sand. Pretty much immediately after entering the zone, I began with the Grim Totem questlines, having us run around a small section of Stone Talon killing Taurens, and thanks to the rally and the Warchief's blessing I managed to acquire, I was back to 2-shotting every mob. I then returned to the quest giver. I could start the next Grim Totem quest, which was to do the exact same thing, which is perfectly fine by me, and as I was doing it, I came across this escort quest, making us escort a Tauren back to her group. I then started moving deeper into Stone Talon and made a quick stop at this spider area to, well, kill spiders and collect eggs. I also had an elite quest to do here, and again, just to prove how insanely powerful having 2 world buffs active is, I was able to solo this with no problem at all. But eventually, once I was back on the move, I came across this place called Sunrock Retreat, and it's a nice little place where I could accept quests, check mail, and unlock a new flight point. And to get started with the list of quests quests to get done here, I headed over to the Venture Core logging site, where we simply need to kill a few logging mobs and collect blueprints. I also happened to notice that there was a quest tucked away inside of a cave, and naturally I wanted to find out what it was. So I headed inside, where I came across a friendly druid, and well, there was a crap ton of mobs inside here, and we both kinda just helped each other out, since I imagined we were both here for the same reason. But as I was right next to the quest, I accidentally pulled 8 mobs at the same time. So I tucked my balls between my legs and tried my best to sprint out of the cave, but all the mobs had respawned and it was just a nightmare, and well, I thought that was enough World of Warcraft for now. Logging on to play later, we were obviously inside of Orgrimmar, so I decided to sit and wait for a while to see if we could get any buff drops. And whilst I waited, I decided to start using up some of the materials that I had been gathering and start making my way closer to getting the gnomish mind control cap. And truth be told, I actually logged off again, but when I came back, we had a lovely rallying cry of the Dragon Slayer waiting to be used. So I started making my way back over to Stone Talon Mountains. When I got here, I first made sure to finish off everything by the Venture Co area, except the cave quest, and I just so happened to come across a little mage, and I just sat and I watched for a few minutes, but that's when I remembered that I am an undead rogue, and it is my duty to ruin the fun in literally everything I do. So I snuck up behind him in preparation for a nice low-level PvP fight, and holy crap, I two-shot him. Now I actually did hang around for a bit, but I thought it would just be a bit mean to spawn camp, so I just left and continued with my quests. I then headed up north to where the Alliance section is in order to kill centaurs, and these were a little higher level than me, but you know, 2 world buffs, and whilst we were here, we also hit level 22. Now unfortunately, that was basically everything to do in Stone Talon, well at least for now anyway. So I headed all the way back to the southern part of the zone to complete 2 lower level quests where we need to venture inside of a kobold filled cave to collect crystals and to simply just explore the cave. I could then turn in the quest, and then that was literally everything there was to do in Stone Talon. And to be honest, I really wasn't in the mood to return to the Barrens, so I decided to log out. I hope you all enjoyed today's video because I enjoyed making it. I apologise again for the shorter video, and I apologise for the delay in getting this one out. I've just been insanely busy over the past 2 weeks, and I've really not had any time to sit and just do what I like to do, and that is obviously making videos. But that should hopefully all be finished now, and I can return to the regular schedule and start making videos longer again. As for content coming, I have been working on a new druid video, and I'm excited for you to see it because if you guys like it, then hopefully it can be a new way for me to constantly make endgame content every month, instead of it just being the leveling stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the leveling stuff, but it would be nice to be able to create a variety of content for you guys. Anyway, I think that's enough yapping for now. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later.